So now I will talk about the QuickTag update. Over here we have the menu for the QuickTag that is assigned to Ctrl-Alt-T, and it's all about color IDs. So as I shown previously on Slack, you can define your own color ID with different setup. For instance, here I'm working with just a low polygon mesh, and I didn't want to mess up the material attribution. So what I will do is select all my faces on this object, and I will assign a material assigned to all the mesh, and after that we will add a specific color ID for each part. So how it works: we have the soft material over here that is assigned to this mesh, and now I will open up this menu, and you can see that over here, so we have the usual QuickTag icons over there, and now we have also the color ID over here. So you have two different setups. One is using a SelectionSet and a constant override, and another is for the material. So let's open up this first menu. And so how it works is really simple. You select the mesh, you select an area, and you can already add a different color ID or create a new one. So for the purpose, I will just select everything and create a new color ID. It will assign this on all the faces based on selection sets, and it will create a constant that will take the color over here. So we have the first 16 or 0 to 16 presets, and when you are over this number, it's just random color. So over here you see we have the color ID over there, and this is set on selection sets, and you have the tag that is related to this. You have a constant also that is set, so it's just about data that is stored in Modo, right? So if I export the mesh over here, I will just get this soft material exported, so it will just be white, right? It is for the purpose of baking things inside Modo, and it's really easy because you can just enable, disable those various materials, and that's just fake material that just override. So I will select some of the items and create new color IDs and go over it on this one and create. So I just click on the first one, and it's basically making the attribution on the different islands. So this is really simple. It's just a matter of clicking this. I will probably make a script to automatize this. It can be useful as well. And so once you are done, for instance, we will say that everything is okay. We have the amount of color ID we want. We can just jump to the bake preview and go to the bake mode. And of course I have to select the render item to get the setup, and didn't show up the alpha but the diffuse. So as you can see, the bake is relative to those different color IDs that have been set, and so we can just enable or disable those to get back to the previous state. So one thing interesting also is that when you attribute, when you set a color ID, so for instance over here I want to assign a different color ID for this area, so I will select over here some polygons, and I want to set the yellow one. So it's just simple, you select the polygons and you just click on the 5 over here. It's related to the same color, right? And so we've updated everything, and as you can see, the update is done even if the yellow constant is below the 6. So it means that it always updates the selection sets. and it's totally invisible to you. So you don't have to take care about anything on this. It will update every selection sets as you go. So this is really simple. If you want to assign a specific number, so for instance, I will continue selecting this and create a new set of color IDs. Okay, and now maybe I want to assign this to the handle over here. I can just click on the 8 number over here. Okay, that's related to the color ID number 8, but I can also use just an entry, so I just write it and it automatically selects everything and update the selection sets. This is for the purpose of baking things into Modo. So once I want to make my bakes, for instance, I can group this and just I enable or disable this group when I want to bake just the color ID for this mesh. And I'm ready to go to work on this low polygon mesh inside Painter or Marmoset. This is really simple. Another solution is to use the material system. So here I've reloaded the scene. I will open back again the menu, but this time the material one. And now again we will select all the polygons over here and assign a new color ID, but this time it's creating a material tag that you can then export through the FBX, and it will be preserved especially on the high polygon meshes. So usually when you create some things with a low poly and a high poly model inside Modo or any other DCC app, you create only one material oftenly for the low polygon, and on the high polygon mesh, so let's pretend that this is the high polygon mesh, you create the different color ID through different materials. That's perfectly fine with this. Now that we've made everything just red, it just creates a new material ID over here that is using the material tag, and the polygon tag is called the same way. So now again, that's the same principle. You can select some areas, define a new color ID, and again it will preserve the attribution of any other materials. So over here I will assign those and we'll change this to diffuse color and update again, reset render, it will update accordingly. Okay, it's done. So same thing as usual, it's just updating as I'm creating the new color ID, and if I want to recall an existing color ID, I just have to click on those buttons for the presets, and if I go higher than this value, then it's a bit different. You have to select it over here in the shader tree to select, for instance, the 20 number, for instance. So I will assign those until I reach this point. So now we are at the 16 index over here. We've assigned more than 16, 17 to be precise color IDs. And so I will double click on this one and assign a new one, and as you will see, you will get a new color ID over here that is not, of course, defined in terms of color because we are limited, but it's creating a new color randomly, and it's updating, of course, all the maps. So now, if we want to export this, of course, all the materials will be kept and exported into the FBX. All are set over here. So this is really simple. You have the same principle as usual on the other QuickTags ColorID system. I hope you enjoyed this and let me know what you think about those new tools.